13 we're dividing, and you want to think of this as a square root. And when we get rid of the square root, we multiply by the conjugate. When you do the conjugate, you're doing the opposite of the I part of it, right? If I have negative 2 minus 5i, it would be negative 2 plus 5i. So when you only have one term there, you're thinking of it as 0 minus 4i. The conjugate would be 0 plus 4i, which would just be 4i, right? So we're going to multiply the top and the bottom times 4i. So distributing on the top, negative 5 times 4i would be negative 20i. Negative 3i times 4i would be negative 12i squared. Almost right's where I want it. Since I have that I squared, I can put in my negative 1, and I'm going to have 12 minus 20i, since I want it in standard form anyway. On the bottom, negative 4i times positive 4i is negative 16i squared. And again, we're going to put in the negative 1, and so a negative times a negative is going to make that a positive 16. Now, when they put their answer in standard form, they're going to separate the real number part from the imaginary number part, so they're going to put two fractions in this case. If I have 12/16, I can reduce it down to 3/4. And if I have negative 20/16, I can reduce it down to negative 5/4, and they're going to put the I on the end behind it. So my answer in standard form would look like that. So on number 14, we already talked about the conjugate of negative 2 minus 5i being negative 2 plus 5i. And this time we get to FOIL all of that out. So on the top, if you multiply that out, you would get
negative 8 plus 20i plus 4i minus 10i squared.
I can't write that fast. Negative 8 plus 20i is then plus 4i minus 10i squared. You put negative 1 in for your I squared, and you combined your like terms, so you got two plus 24i on the top of that fraction. On the bottom, if we FOIL that one out, we would get Veda's just waiting to answer. 4, what was that? Minus 10i. Plus 10i. Minus 25i squared. Again, we put the negative 1 in. My middle term should cancel out. That's why I use conjugate. So on the bottom of that fraction, I'm going to have 29, right? 4 plus 25 is 29. Again, they're going to have you separate that, so you're going to have 2 29ths plus 24 29ths I. And so number 15, if I'm going to multiply by the conjugate, I'm going to multiply by 5 minus 6i. So using my distributive property on top, I would get
minus 36i.
30 minus 30, whoops, 30i. 30i minus 36i squared, right? I squared is equal to -1, so that makes that a positive 36 plus 30i if I put it in standard form. On the bottom, if we multiply that out, we would get
25 minus 36i squared.
25 minus 36i squared, because we know our two middle terms are going to cancel out anyway. And so if we substitute in our -1, 25 plus 36 would give me 61, I think I heard you whispering. 36 over 61 plus 30 over 61. I can't reduce those down, I don't think. So that would be my answer.